Yeah, I hear you. Can you hear me? Um, Right. Okay. I gotta pick up my single-sided mic flag. There you go.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of the Down in the Valley podcast, brought to you by the Beautiful Game Network, Roughneck Scarves, Icarus FC, and Natural Beauty Spa. My name is Edson Ochoa, and I am one of the hosts of the show. Um, First of all, I don't know why I'm starting a little bit somber, but deep down inside, I am so happy that the Toros finally won a game in the 2020 season. And we'll be talking a little bit in depth about what we saw from the match. Um, but I will say this, just to kind of give you a little preview: night and day difference from our players from what we have seen in previous games. And to talk with me a little bit more about this, I brought in a good friend of the show. He's been here the last couple of months, talking Toros with us, and he is the owner slash founder slash host of the South Texas Border Sports podcast. Ray Silva. Ray, how you doing?
Hello, Edson. Good day to you and everyone watching out there. Thanks for having me out there once again. It's an honor, it's a privilege to talk the festivities of last night's encounter.
It was honestly it was really fun. I think the fans needed something like this. Um, there was a lot of friction going on within the fan base, which we talked about many times in previous episodes. You know, you had the reventadores, you had those that had lost faith on this team. Um, you had those that were barking up the wrong tree, and you look at the Facebook comments after the game yesterday, after the final whistle, and it was a complete change of mentality. Obviously, they're not going to be like, "Oh, we're the best team ever," but it's like, man, this is. It was mostly comments of, "Man, this is what I want to see from this team." Obviously, you had those who think they're the next Ronaldinho, but they're like 20 years past their prime. Uh, that still wanted to ridicule the team and the players. But I think this positive results. I think that this is going to help the way that the fans are going to be looking at this team, at least looking into 2020.
Yeah, I agree with you. Let's go a little bit more in depth. We the team didn't have four of its core players that have had the vast majority of the minutes, and even though one of those players who was projected to be one of the leaders of this team. Now I'm talking about Kevin Rodriguez, who has missed a great chunk of the season,
Mm-hmm.
and then you have your backup strikers options in Purpa and McLaughlin out, and then you have the heart and soul of the team who, at least performance wise and even statistically, was one of your leaders in Castellanos, and to pull one sick rabbit and to make it a healthy one was quite an endearing surprise for me. Uh, the the crowd energy was fantastic. It was over 700 100 people in attendance. It felt different. The stadium had a different vibration to it last night. I'm not gonna lie. It had a different mood, a different feeling, but it was a mood changer.
How much do you think having actual fans in the stadium probably might have helped the morale of our team? Because you look back at previous games where fans were not allowed back into the stadium, and this team felt very gray, very lackluster, and you look at yesterday's performance. Obviously, what's the term, like uh, ca-
Causation.
causation doesn't cause correlation. There we go. But this team had a lot of heart that I think even Austin Bold was surprised by this.
Oh yeah, definitely. Austin, I kind of saw a little bit of their body language, like they were already going through that uh through um through like a gargantuan schedule where they were playing like Saturday, and now they were back to a Wednesday match, which is
Hmm.
a difficult already enough on the body, and then when you're traveling by bus to the Rio Grande Valley, which is about a 6 hour trek, it's it can take a little bit of a toll on the body, especially with them with having such a veteran roster.
Hmm.
So I when I was like seeing a little bit of the of the warm ups during pregame, you I kind of saw a little bit of that body lagging a little bit, that body language that, you know, on certain nights you know when it's firing. On the contrast, you saw a Toro side happy to be back on the pitch after 25 days, three practices, and it was only uh for them, it was just a happy come, happy go setting for them, that they were able uh, to come out, give a performance, let the Valley forget about its the social issues for 90 minutes, whether it's COVID or any other thing. You know, and I've always said it. You know, the when the team announced when the league announced its comeback, that hey, we're coming back, no fans. I mean, hey, I looked at it as a distraction from everything going on outside of that, and you can have something to focus on here. And yes, the results weren't there, but last night a different it just had a different mood. Like it wasn't that somber gray as you mentioned. There was like I don't want to say a hype, but there was, but the mood did change a
The
little bit.
support was there.
Yeah, there was like there was a definite a mood swing, definitely.
I think you brought up something regarding Austin. You talked about how they were behaving during the warm ups. It seems to me the way you're describing it,
Hmm.
they're burnt out. They're probably very burnt out by this time, by yesterday.
Yes, I mean to have us like us, they've seen their schedule get impacted by COVID as well. They've had to adjust their schedule as well.
Hmm.
They their their previous game came against a scoreless draw at OKC, which was a game played on turf. Okay,
Yes.
and it's not easy to adjust playing the turf to playing a few days later in the natural surface. And then prior to that, they gave a pretty good beating on SKC too.
Hmm.
So there's
And
also that to consider. So when you're having to change from like natural grass shoes to turf shoes back to natural grass, yes, it can take a little bit of its toll on the body.
okay. Now the way I see this is that, or the way I looked at it going into this match, I was very pessimistic about it because the way the team had been performing before,
Hmm.
the fact that they were not able to train until 3 days before, due to the outbreak that had happened with the team, or at least that there were multiple cases of COVID within the team that did not allow them to train. They had to do individual workouts that really isn't the same compared to kicking the ball, tactics, working on tactics and things like that. So, and then you look at the beatdown that Austin Bold had given SKC2, the history that we can never beat Austin, the veteranship, the what was always talk about veteranship versus youth. Like everything was against the Toros coming into this match.
Okay,
And
and just to follow up on what you were saying about the veteranship and the titleship, let me tell you where this gauntlet began for Austin. It began September 8th on a Tuesday,
okay.
and then the following week they get to play on the 16th, which was already two negative results: a draw at home to Tulsa and a loss to San Antonio. And then
Hmm.
they come back the following week and they're playing again on a Tuesday. Okay, so notice the trend there, where
Okay.
there is no weekend games there.
Hmm.
And then follow following it up with that Tuesday, they have to go on a Sunday to OKC on the turf and only to get a scoreless draw. So
Mm-hmm.
now you come to last night's game again on a Wednesday, midweek, go on the road on the bus only to take a loss. So there you're talking a streak of 1-3, 1-3-1, or
Which
or 1-2-2. Apologies, 1-2-2.
really doesn't bode well for their playoff opportunities.
No, but now
And
but now going back to last night's game, uh, and you see, and when I saw pregame warmups for the Toros, I actually saw a focus group out there. You know, The- and and maybe because it had to deal with the crowd just being there. I mean, I couldn't tell you, but I did see some more serious game faces than usual. I mean, usually the guys are pretty serious before pregame, but this one had like I don't know, it had a different aura, like a different mystique to it. Like you could kind of feel it, like this is where you want to like say I fancy 3 points here. And for me, while there was games to be played, did I have as much pessimism? No, I didn't, because you can easily say on paper, like, okay, there's a big mismatch. We're not gonna get anything. That's why you play the games on the field. That's why you play them on the field. Now, I
one
wasn't expecting a Toros 3 points. No, no, no. I mean, I would have walked away happy with the scoreless draw.
to me, one of the things that I noticed right off the bat for RGV was their fitness, even with the circumstances. Because if you look at that match, and that was one of the things that I pointed out uh, in the on the broadcast, on the alternate broadcast that I was doing with Federico to the Dynamo.
You guys did a great
Right
job.
off, thank you. It was hard work, but man, it's so much fun. I'm really looking forward to doing more of that next season. Uh, Wink, wink, hint, hint. Anyways, but one
But
of the things that
a
yes,
good thing you have Ron Patel on DM. You can always slide in.
look,
That
this is
that imposter.
slide that vent. No,
Yeah.
but more than anything, it's like I think the Toros need a Spanish broadcast. But I'll talk about that a little bit later on. I do
Okay.
want to talk about this game right now. So one of the things that I saw right off the bat off of this game was the way the Toros were playing the high pressure on Austin right off the bat. You saw Kyle Edwards, you saw Obregon, and you saw
Azo-
Juan Carlos. Yes, you
Birth-
saw the Azocar. I don't know why I'm blanking out. I'm blanking out on the birthday boy. That is sad. By the way, feliz cumpleaños, Juan Carlos. Espero que sean muchos más y espero que tengas más tiempo aquí con los Toros. But anyway, the three up top were putting pressure on Jermaine Taylor. They were putting pressure on Troncoso. They were putting pressure on. I'm trying to remember the name of the other center back. I'm trying to remember. It's not Okugo.
Doof.
Doof. But they were putting pressure. Unlike other players that we had seen play up on top during the season.
Mhm.
You know who I'm talking about.
Yeah, I mean,
The fact of the matter is that unlike players who play with Garrett McLaughlin, where the defenders could pass the ball throughout the field, look at who is open, make the pass, give them the freedom to do all of that and not pressure them. We saw them three up top from yesterday. You saw them putting them in very uncomfortable situations where they would give up, they would make a bad pass, or they would lose the ball and give a clear advantage for the Toros to create an opportunity on Diego Restrepo's goal. I think minimum there were like 5 or 4 opportunities like that for the Toros, at least in the first half.
Now, I was really impressed with our midfield play of Cabato, Murphy, and Cello. I don't know if this was the first time we've ever seen that trio uh, play together at any one point during the season. I mean,
No, we have, but they would usually have it
limited
would.
playing time.
Yes,
Limited
because
playing
either
time. Yeah.
Murphy would come
Total-
in as a sub, or Cello was in or was on the bench or anything like that. So we didn't really get to see a lot of it. But I think the if you're gonna play a 4-3-3 with Kembo being a more defensive minded player, although he can play at the attack well as well, so he's got that hybrid thing going for him. But he is a lot more better defensively than either Cello or James Murphy. And I think the way they positioned themselves yesterday complemented themselves really well. But I'll let you continue with your thought.
Yeah, I mean, it was just not nice to see them just complementing each other on the defensive end and even on the attacking end, where you kind of saw like Isidro like organize everything. Like we saw the old Isidro, the Isidro that we were used to seeing last night, where he was helping distribute, channeling the positions. Where like, hey, you go here in case I'm back here. You go there in case I'm over here. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and you kind of saw that uh, fluidity that we've been missing all
And
season.
And Cello looks so comfortable out there. You brought up a good point. We saw the Cello of last season. We saw that Cello that was willing to receive the ball, try to distribute that ball. If pressure came to him, he would try to be able not just pass the ball just because I just want to get rid of the ball, but passing it with the intention of giving it to a teammate that is in a better position for him to continue the attack. James Murphy as well did a decent job. At Kembo Kibato, you bring up communication. The communication between Ian Hoffman and Kembo Kibato. When Ian Hoffman went up to help at the attack, Kembo Kibato went back into the defensive line to make sure and he would cover the space that Ian Hoffman was leaving behind. Something that was absent many times during this season between the center defensive midfield and the defensive line. How many times would Carter Manley go up and there was nobody left there to guard his spot, and we were left out in the open many times. Many of them becoming goals against us. But yesterday we saw that communication, that determination, that responsibility. I think it's the bigger word. The responsibility of Kembo Kibato. Okay, my teammate is going up and helping the attack. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go and take his spot. Or Carter Manley would move over to that side, and Kembo Kibato would come back more center oriented in that defensive line to cover that spot. And I think that is something that we had been wanting from this team. And yesterday we saw proof that it can work. But how many times did we say this?
None.
No, how many times did we say, not see? That's
Uh,
the thing. We've said this many times on the show,
yeah. Uh,
but we needed the
Another guy
players to.
who went back to vintage self, Kyle Adams. I don't know if you can agree with that
Yes,
assessment. We saw vintage Kyle Adams.
the Cal Adams we really missed. Continue.
Yeah, I mean Kyle Adams. I mean he may have stopped like 3 or 4 services from getting inside the box for Austin. Now, yes, they were given corner kicks out of it, but at least a set piece opportunity would give the Toros defense an opportunity to reset the lines and to reset their markings for when the corner kicks would come in. That was a thing that I was really impressed with Kyle Adams.
Hmm. Another one of the things, because my dad was at the game yesterday at the stadium. One of the things he says that he noticed, which is something I really need to look back now, closely and more analytical instead of looking to in order to narrate. One of the things he said about Kyle Adams was he became a leader in the back. He um, he actually was very vocal, directing the defensive line, making sure that everybody went out and coordinated as one line rather than four individuals, kind of all each of them going their way. Uh, Coach and players talked about limiting their defensive mistakes. While there were a couple of instances that kind of led me like, oh my god, like I know there was a pass by Juan Carlos Obregon that was almost at a carbon copy of that first goal against San Antonio, the one that happened in like 40 seconds.
Yeah.
It was almost a carbon copy, but Carter Malley, held on well against the attacker, and didn't let him get in a comfortable position to shoot. So there was I think they improved defensively on that aspect as well. Another thing that I noticed, I think Ian Hoffman, I think Ian Hoffman is very well settled in that position. I think while he may not be as offensive minded as Carter Manley with that, in when he plays as a right back, I think that Ian Hoffman brings a balance on both the defensive and offensive aspects of that position. While he may not go up as much, but he knows that when he loses the ball, he needs to come back down real quick, which is something we didn't see out of Carter Manley.
Mm-hmm.
And so there was a couple of plays, if I'm not mistaken, where where the Toros lose the ball and Ian Hoffman had gone up. When Ian Hoffman like sprinted back to his position and got to the attacker to take away the ball, or at least put some pressure on the player. With that kind of sacrifice is what we want to see. So that's what I saw from the defensive line. Coronado, I can't believe I'm forgetting about talking about Coronado. Coronado, the way he coordinated with Juan Carlos Obregon defensively, I'm pretty sure you're gonna agree with this to me here. Chat, let me know what you all think as well about what I'm gonna say, and anything we talk about. Don't forget this is your show as well. Oh, hold on. Let me catch my breath here. Robert Coronado and Juan Carlos Obregon, when the attack was very left-minded, or they were based, or when Austin Bold based themselves or focused on their right-hand side of the field with McFarlane and Troncoso, if Troncoso or McFarlane got past Juan Carlos Obregon, Robert Coronado was positioned very well to come in and intercept the ball, or at least clear the ball away. I had not seen Coronado so sharp in that aspect until today. I may be wrong. He probably had some decent performances before, but I think it just stood out like how well he communicated and combined with Juan Carlos Obregon to not allow Troncoso or not allow Sean McFarlane to do as they please out on the wing, on the right hand wing in their direction.
I fully agree with you, and that's what probably earned him man of the match honors according to FootMob,
Mm-hmm.
and in which this morning, because I was nearly gonna lobby for Juan Carlos Obregon to get man of the match honors in my opinion, but this is what the application of FootMob told me.
Mm-hmm.
They responded. The FOTMob player ratings, which is based on a core stats that we get from each of the games. It is purely statistical, but there is some percentage weighed on key areas of performance and whether the player's team wins or not.
Mm-hmm.
So that's according to FOTMob. So according they I guess they grade on a curve whether a defenseman does a little bit more to help out the team win in an offensive category, which goes back to like the aerial duel wons or loss. And I want to say that Coronado had a high volume of duels won from the all the challenges that he had in front of him. I don't have my stats in front of me, but that was something that he that they put on uh, as far as statistics.
So Jacob puts it in the YouTube chat. He says, "We definitely saw vintage Adams." Come on, he's not that old. uh, but he says, "To me, it was like since we had a new field general goalkeeper at goal, it's like that lit the team and helped Adams be an even better leader." You know what? Let me pause you. Let me pause on this because he brings up a good point as well. Kyle, is it okay? Is it ein or in?
Iron,
So
Iron.
Kyle Ian, thank you. But Ian, he's a lot more assertive. He's a lot more vocal. He's a lot more of that coordinator in that back line than Paul Blanchett. Paul Blanchett, he's got the reflexes to make outstanding saves. But what I've seen, I feel he's I feel like he's a little bit more quiet. He's a little bit more reserved. Uh, and more importantly, he doesn't give as much confidence on his defensive line, mostly based on his mistakes that come like when the team needs him most, compared to Kyle Ian. And I think it's also another reason why this team looked a lot better. What did I say after that Los Dos game back in the first home opener? I said the keeper is the foundation of the whole team. If your keeper doesn't give you confidence, if the keeper doesn't back up your defensive line when things get past them, you're not going to instill confidence on your back line. And when Austin was able to get past the defense, Kyle Ian proved to be there for the team, making the necessary saves or making the necessary movements to not allow Austin Bold to get a decent shot on his net. Uh, let's be honest. You look at the stats. I think at halftime, the Bold had 10 shots. Only 2 of them were on goal, and that shows how well this team had worked defensively. So really brings up a good point about Kyle Ian.
Well, I will I did notice a little bit more organization in the back line with regards to our defense, and yes, I just feel like Kyle in being a little bit more assertive, more of a veteran presence, and I think that's what we kind of needed in between the pipes a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we saw enough of Blanchett, we saw enough. We didn't see enough of Coulter, but I think Coach was convinced otherwise that hey, we need a third keeper in between the pipes. You know,
Mm-hmm.
either we dig into our academy, see what we have, or you explore the market out there, see what there is.
Mm-hmm.
And sure enough, I mean, this Kyle Ian guy has uh, he's done well. He's done well enough to to continue getting the between the pipes performance.
How's it going, Jacob?
Yeah, going good. Yeah, finally out of the chat and in here. But yeah, no, going great. Fun soccer game as we are talking about. I mean, it's crazy. Freaking, we finally beat the Austin Bold after a good while. I don't believe that we had. if I'm not mistaken. So yes,
No,
First
this is
time,
the first win.
first
This is the
time,
first
yeah,
win.
yeah,
first
first one.
time in
So yeah,
franchise history over
so
Austin.
absolutely crazy.
Yeah, and what a way to get that win. Okay, so we talked about the defense, we talked about the goalkeeper, we talked about the midfield, and I think I touched up upon on the attack, but just in general, on the defensive side. But the attackers while attacking. First of all, I want to get y'all's thoughts on Juan Carlos Azocar.
I thought he did pretty well, to be honest with you, for his first time being here in the United States. Coming over from Armenia, I felt like he did pretty well. I thought he did pretty well for his hour shift work that he put in. He showed me a little bit more than what I honestly expected from the guy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he was able to cause havoc through the right hand side. I mean, the guy is mm, mm, like like physically, we know he was like, not that he was coming off an injury, but he had a longer layoff than everyone
Three
else.
months. 3 months.
Okay, and then for him to come in, put in a good, solid 60 minutes, not bad, not bad. And I would not be surprised if they give him another 60-minute shift come Saturday.
One of the things that I think it was Coach Chivari mentioned at the press conference is his attitude. I think he mentioned something about he had bumped heads with a couple of players in the roster because of his attitude, because he's one of those never give up, try 100%, give your 100% all of the time kind of attitude for it. And I think that might be another influence to the change in mentality that we saw yesterday. The question is, can they continue this for Saturday and for a potential third match against one of the teams that we have postponed games?
Um, I'm just gonna make a little sidebar comment. If I'm a betting man, and I'm gonna go on record, if I'm a gambling man, which I'm not, and if you guys are, and if you are gamblers out there, seek help. But my bet is New Mexico United for the Ron Patel Bowl.
Jacob?
Yeah, I mean, well, I would see us playing New Mexico United, but besides that, yeah, it's a bunch. Just like going back to it, that mentality. It's true. I mean, you finally have a little more competition in that thing, and of course, at that same time, it's all about like get that new player. You finally look good, and yeah, he's bumped heads with players, but it seemed like it's helped the team more than hurt the team too. So that's always a plus. And this is, to me, in my opinion, with him out there, this is the first time that we've really seen this team, in my opinion, step up and show that they still care. I know that they've still cared from the get go, from our whole Owen, whatever the record shows. But to be fair, it just has not felt like that. And so, yes, it's nice to get back to winning a winning thing. And sometimes it's all about that.
I think for me, I think every team needs a player like that is competitive, that is willing to push everybody else up. You see it. You saw it with Real Madrid with Cristiano Ronaldo. There's other players that push that team up to always give their 100%. And I think Juan Carlos Azocar may be that, because we had it with Caste. We had it with Caste defensively.
Yeah.
But the problem was that nobody else around him, for whatever reason, had also gotten that attitude. But now I think it was the perfect combination of different things that allowed for such a obvious change in mentality in this team. one of the things that my dad told me yesterday after the game, and he brings up a good point. I'm not sure what you guys think, but basically he told me going back with having, the difference with having Kyle Edwards, Obregon, and Azocar up on top instead of having Perpa and McLaughlin. One of the things he said was the fact that these three guys are out there busting their ass, trying to cause issues on the opposing defense when they have the ball. It pushes everybody to say, "Look, I'm going to give my 100%. They're busting their ass off. I'm going to bust my ass off."
Yeah.
But when you had players that are walking on the pitch that are just going through the motions, mm-hmm. everybody else is like, "You know what? Screw this. I'm going to follow the motions too." Mm-hmm. And that's what we've been seeing. You add that a player that is competitive with Juan Carlos Azocar. You add that with the added confidence that having a keeper like Kyle Ian gives to them, that even without having Gaste, this defense stood up to the challenge. Now, another thing that I do want to bring up, and I asked Coach about this, and I asked Juan Carlos Azocar as well, was if you guys remember, we talked about many times, every time we go up against Austin Bould, we talk about their experience. We talk about taking advantage of their experience to get underneath the skin of these young players. Well, yesterday, it seemed like the opposite had happened. The Toros were getting under the Austin Bould players' skins. Austin Bould were starting to make unnecessary and stupid fouls on them. They were getting desperate. They were starting to wanting to chew the referee, and the fact that these young players finally stood up per se to the Austin Bould bullies, and not only that, but gave them a taste of their own medicine, especially in the last minutes. If you guys notice, whenever there was a free kick, they would walk to the ball, or they would act like they're pushing the ball farther away, or those little things. And I think at the end, the best example, Victor Garza, when he took the ball all the way to the corner flag and held on it with 2-3 Austin Bould players, managed to still maintain possession. All of that stuff, that is out of the Austin Bould's playbook, and the Toros threw it back at them successfully.
And which is why I felt like if you were to award a second half MVP, it was Victor Garza for me. I mean, here's a guy that's been with the team for
here's a guy. Okay, Chris Collinsworth.
Here's a guy who's been total ultimate team player, who has been with the franchise for a number of years now. Mm-hmm. And he's that hard worker, but for unspecified reasons, he's like sometimes not even available for team selection. Mm-hmm. And then last night, it was like one of those opportunities that is a ring right on the finger, and boy, did he impress me a lot.
I mean, he may not. Yeah, go ahead.
He impressed me a lot, to be honest with you. He put in that shift work, as one would like to label it. Coming in for Juan Carlos Azocar, one would have thought like, oh, it's a man for man substitution, and I'm all like, no, this is putting in another defensive midfielder that's probably going to punish and bully, and it's probably going to help out Cello a little bit more with the direction of traffic, but mm-hmm. be more of that defensive player, that stopper that's going to stop Austin counters or even attacks. And he played it pretty well.
But he was also very good offensively, trying, you look at that play where he dribbled that ball out on the wing, and instead of like going straight towards the goal line, he cuts inside and then sees that was it Jimenez? I think it was Jimenez right outside the box, gives the ball to him in a very good situation, and that's when Beto Avila comes in and fouls him. That kind of awareness that Victor brought, I think it helped the Toros, just like my dad said. Also, here's another thing about Victor Garza that I do want to say before I go with Jacob. Victor Garza, this is a player that has been under Tuca Ferretti. Wasn't played well. Probably wasn't to Tuca Ferretti's styling. But you're talking he was with Tigres. He had a little bit of experience with our contact with other more experienced players that taught from outside of the country, Argentinians or Brazilians or lo que tú digas, and they are a lot more colmilludos in that aspect. They know how to take advantage, to milk the clock and things like that. And I think that experience that he has and he instilled on the pitch really helped these young kids, from the Toros to take advantage of the situation, take advantage of the clock, and get underneath Austin Bold's skin and make the right decisions whenever they were needed. Jacob.
Yeah, it's very true. I mean, Victor Garza helped a ton, and it's something that, we just had not seen from these players. It's crazy, especially just being able to control the game from the start. I know y'all probably talked about even the first goal scoring, but yes, RGVFC had only done that so many times this season, if not maybe twice before this game. So it was one of those situations where you score first, you can't control the game, and that's what we were missing from them. Victor Garza helped that out tremendously second half, especially to just stop. I know we had in that first half a scary moment of where basically right after we scored that goal, it seemed like Austin Bold kind of got a little bit of momentum and scared the Toros a little bit. And I mean, I even thought for a second that it was going to be tied 1-1 pretty instantly after that. It's just been the mentality of the season, but they were able to control that, which was huge. And so biggest thing really to me was just controlling the game and being able to have those key players like Victor Garza out there to do so.
I don't think it was about controlling the game, because Austin Bold maintained the possession. They had looking for the chances. So technically the Toros did not have control of the ball, but they controlled their emotions. They limited Austin Bold to not be as clinical as they should be. And when they did have the opportunities to maintain the possession, they did it very intelligently. There were many times during the game in the second half where I was kind of like, wait, why are you guys playing the long ball when you don't have a super quick player like Deshane Beckford out there? And what ended up happening was they just gave the ball back to Austin Bold. That was the scary part for me. That's where I thought, like, oh man, they might equalize this game, because they were giving the ball to Austin. But the defensive midfielders and the defense, they were doing a good job to not allowing Billy Forbes, to not allow Sean McFarlane or Jome when he came into the match, or Watson, to have clear opportunities to find key spaces. Even Aldo Quintanilla did not allow him to get a good shot. He says it's a penalty, or that's what the team said there was in that play. I don't see a penalty there. I feel like he loses his balance as he's trying to reach for the ball, and he wanted to kind of take advantage that Carter Manley was right next to him. to kind of plea for a penalty. But the point I'm trying to make is that while they did not have possession, they were smart when they did on and off the ball. They were pretty smart about it at a level that we had not seen this season before. And I think Sloth puts it well. In this game, he showed that Victor is the dad of this team.
Mm-hmm. I kind of agree with that assessment somewhat. What really surprised me at the very end of the match was when Victor Garza took the ball all the way to the corner, and he was marked by two Austin defenders. He was able to like tunnel his way out of it before eventually getting beat by an eventual third defender.
Yeah.
A little caño action, a little rondo action
Yeah.
there towards the very end.
Yeah, and it was just surprising to see Victor Garza on the pitch, but after seeing what he did, man, it was a good decision to bring him on to give it a little bit more intelligence into this team in those final minutes compared to bringing in a Deshane Beckford or a you name it. These more younger guys. All right, what else? Now, obviously, no team is perfect, and there were some shaky moments in this team. Last night's game, we have to take into consideration the circumstances that they had not touched the ball in a while in a game setting. So they probably still had some rust there when it came to trapping the ball. Some passes seemed to be a little bit shaky, especially in the first half. Defensively, although overall they did pretty well, there were some moments where somehow they were not able to clear that ball out, and the ball landed straight towards an Austin Bold attacker, whether inside the box or right outside the box. That kind of left me a little bit worried in that aspect. I don't know what you guys saw, if you guys were at the match. I know, Ray, you were there, but is there anything else that you think that this team needs to improve come Saturday?
Come Saturday, I'll be honest, I would not be surprised to see the same lineup. I mean, it's kind of like a hard task right now, because only of what, having the first game in 25 days, 3 maybe 4 practice sessions before the game. They might have done a two a days, and that was it. And perhaps perhaps some light conditioning work to just do some regenerative exercising. Maybe one change, if any, but I wouldn't touch this team for Saturday's game.
Jacob?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree with Ray for sure. I would just say I'd like to see a little more possession from RGV if possible. That would be nice to see. Other than that, really, yeah, you keep that same lineup. Substitutions around the same time, too, really made a difference for RGVFC, in my opinion, just like we saw in the later stretch with basically the hour playing with our new kid. And that was nice to see. Almost looks like he could be our almost super sub. So that is a good thing to see. I know an hour is a pretty long time for a super sub, if you get what I'm saying, as in normally you'd see that with like the last half hour or something. But yeah, just a little more possession, close up, I guess, a little more too. That would be fun. But other than that, yeah, really just keep that team how it is. And as long as they keep the fight the way that they had, then it should be good.
Kyle Edwards. I do want to point out about Kyle Edwards a couple of things. Number one, the sacrifice that he has, not just in putting himself in a dangerous situation, especially in that first goal, but the sacrifice that he has when defending set pieces. There were multiple times in this game where Kyle Edwards was back defending, and Kyle Edwards was the one that got the block or cleared that ball out, especially during corner kicks. That's something that I love about Kyle Edwards. Now, the thing about that I saw is that Kyle Edwards, he is not really a player that can dribble a ball, that can he's not a player that can dribble a ball like for extended periods or anything like that. I think he's more of a target man, and we saw it in that free kick with Cello. Mm-hmm. He's more of a target man than a player that can dribble into the box. But I think overall, Kyle Edwards is a pretty good fit for this 4-3-3 system that the Toros have been implementing in this particular season. That was my takeaway from what I saw out of Kyle Edwards.
I will agree that he is one of those players that can kind of play a little bit both ways. Sometimes, I mean, I've seen him play through his college years. It might sound a bit of a hot take, but sometimes it might be a little reckless to the point where he puts himself in a position where he can get hurt. You know,
mm-hmm.
one of the things that just scares me about Kyle Edwards, and that's not necessarily a bad knock on the guy, you know, because I mean, I think the Toros are fortunate to have such a good young man.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes I just feel like he does it a little recklessly, and kind of in the sense where it's reckless, where he might put himself in a position where he may get hurt. And right now, with the way this team is, with limited roster availability, that may be a bigger loss now that we have available for team selection.
Considering that he's our best striker, we can't afford to lose him.
Exactly.
But we're not telling, obviously, at least for me, I'm not telling him to stop doing that kind of stuff.
Neither am I. But I mean, it's just something that.
Just an observation.
It's just an observation that I agree with you with the sacrifice, the whole nine yards. I totally agree with that. But it's just now like, okay, can we? It's not. Don't stop that, but like control it. Like learn how to control it. You know, kind of like the emotions of last night's game where we like gave them a spoonful of their own medicine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, kind of like.
Jacob?
I mean, I guess you can stop doing those moves, but in my opinion, to be successful, you do have to take risks. So I like the way that his game style has been, his game plan was last night for Edwards. I mean, that's a whole point of why he ended up scoring that goal, why he really produced more chances than we were kind of used to seeing, and were, in my opinion, a little more on target too. So it's a lot of those things where, yes, I think he needs to continue to take those chances. You do have to be a little cautious in some ways, but at that same time, really just continue what he does.
Yeah. I think, I mean, if it works, don't fix it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, he scored against San Antonio. He scored now against Austin Bold. Mm-hmm. So if his play style is getting him goals, by all means, keep doing what you're doing. We appreciate the production that he has been giving us with the minutes that he has been given. And honestly, we need to move. The Dynamo and RGV need to move past McLaughlin. I mean,
Oh, definitely.
there's nothing salvageable from him at this point. So if he wants to go back to OKC, all right, by all means, go ahead. But he's not a player. He's not a player that we're gonna miss. To be honest, and it sucks that I'm picking on the guy, but I mean, let's be honest. His performances speak for themselves, and the fact that as a striker, he's 0 goals, 0 assists. That is a bad look. Probably need to be conditioned a little bit more before he maybe in the lower leagues or something before he can play in the second division. To be honest, I mean, there's Forward Madison right there. You can get some minutes there or in League One, and hopefully he can come back to USL Championship with a full force. But from what I've seen, I don't think he is ready for USL Championship, much less MLS.
I will say this much. Just a little sidebar there for the Flamingo Madison forward. Best goalie kit. The Tropical Island jersey kit for the goalies. I love it.
I didn't buy that particular Tropical Flamingo kit because it's a little bit too flashy for me. But that's just my personal opinion on how I like to dress. It's beautiful. Don't get me wrong. It's beautiful. I would wear it if I would go to the Caribbean. But I bought their black goalkeeper kit. It's got the tropical leaves and everything, but it's black, and then the leaves are in a lighter shade of black. And so,
So,
but overall, yes,
so
beautiful.
what are you converting yourself to now? It's in 50 Shades of Black. Just kidding. Just knocking on you, man. It's all fun and banter.
Yep. No, don't get me wrong. I think black goes with any occasion. To be
Oh yeah,
honest,
definitely.
so obviously I'll always be repping orange one way or another.
Yeah.
But for me, I'm not goth or anything. But I just prefer the way that you can use black in any occasion, like casual, formal, whatever. So, and it's pretty like simple for me. Not really. I'm not really an outgoing guy that's gonna wear pink all the time or pastel colors or anything like that. So that was kind of my reasoning through it. And if it's got the same design and in black, I'm in.
But
You know,
pastel
but
color Easter season already passed, folks.
pretty much, it is spoopy season now. I've totally forgot to put in the virtual ghosts and spiders on on the on screen to celebrate the spoopy season. But that'll come eventually. But let's get back into topic. We're talking about the future.
Um,
But yeah,
yeah, I mean, just to close the books on this Austin game, I mean, just what a total team performance. I mean, we got this very late, but better late than never, as they say.
I think I don't know if this looks worse on the players, and here's where we might have a couple disagreements. But to me the fact that the team has shown to get the job done how it needs to be done, but this whole season hasn't been able to do it. I think it shows a learning curve from the fact that I think Coach Echeverry finally found the pieces that finally gel together within this lineup. It's a little bit too late due to external reasons, the Dynamo meddling in, or COVID, you name it, right? But I think at this game we finally found the perfect combination on how to make this team play better. And I know there was talk yesterday about, well, the team has called it quits already on the season. Well, I think this game yesterday proved otherwise.
Oh yeah, yeah, exactly. And I mean, to me, yes, better late than never. But also, let's remember these players when they started the season. A lot of them it was their first year in USL, kind of. Second, it they're young. They're very young. This was one of the youngest teams that I believe RGVFC ever had. So that takes a while. You still have to mature. You still have to coach players who will, just like we said earlier in the show, kind of give up and need that reinforcement of, hey, look, y'all are being dumb. Come on. You still, A, still learn, and B, we still got games. We still got time to win games and improve in our own game too. So
Mm.
it was, I think, indefinitely, yes, it is a little bit of coach finally found his team, but at that same time, it was all about we kind of saw it throughout the games. They were starting to mature, and then they got that final piece of the puzzle, and it worked.
Now, don't get me wrong. I do feel like most of this 2020 roster needs to go. They shouldn't come. They shouldn't come back. But I think we finally found a certain foundation to build up upon for next season. You want to get do remember that Ian is a loanee from OKC. Not sure how that's going to work. We don't know if Juan Carlos Azocar is going to be his loan is going to be renovated come next season because it's only for 2020. What else? But I would like to bring back, you know, Gastev because of how long he's been here in the RGV. Unless he gets a Dynamo contract, which I think he deserves. But other than that, I don't think he's staying within the organization, and that's just the way I feel because of how Matt Jordan has handled this situation with players. But I do wish he could stay within the Dynamo organization. You know, Carter Manley. I don't know what your evaluation on him is. Like I said, there's one more game. But I think he's going to be better for us at center back than as an outside back. Obviously, with Skippy and Hoffman, James Murphy, I think he can definitely stay as well as Cello, or even and Kembo, Robert Coronado, as well. Give him one more year, and see how he continues to develop under a better squad. Definitely keep Obregon. Kyle Edwards, give him another year, give him a little bit more minutes with the system. But other than that, there's not another player that kind of captures my attention for me to say, oh, we need to renovate him.
Yeah,
For me
I
on
kind
that,
of agree.
for me on that, renovate or not to renovate, Kevin Rodriguez is one of those. Yeah, I understand. The guy was supposed to be like one of our impact players, but really, to me, I mean, he's a good kid and all, but he's already at that age of 24 where, it's kind of like one of those we need to make a decision or another.
Mm-hmm.
He's one of them.
To stay, or
For me, I think he would go. For me, he would go. Another guy that I would put on that stay or go is Timo Milic, because keep this in mind. Seattle drafted him. Now, if Houston decides to give him another opportunity, I don't think Jordan wants to pay Garber bucks to Sounders.
here's another thing though. If Timo Melic does go to MLS, he's going to take up an international slot.
because of his because of his German.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-mm. So yeah, Jordan's gonna have to like play a little bit of roulette here. I mean, pick a poison. I mean, you're still gonna get hurt. I mean, either we give Seattle some money,
I wouldn't.
or you just let him go for free.
It depends.
I
It
mean, you're
depends
still
on
gonna
how he was.
because you're still gonna like lose him for free regardless because
Mhm.
he was drafted by Seattle, but the the Dynamo like beat him to the signature to make him a USL championship
Con-
player.
contract. Yes, correct. Uh,
So it's
so
gonna be
they would
it
have to
I mean
renegotiate then with Seattle if they want to get him.
exactly and knowing the lovely history of how Jordan does business, I would not be surprised if he's let go.
The problem with Timo Melic is because he occupies an international slot in MLS. He has to be an outstanding performer in the USL, in the MLS, in order to yeah, for MLS teams to kind of want him and sign him and play him in MLS. Because if he's just a run of the mill player, an average player, why are you going to take up an international slot for him when you can easily just when you can easily just have an average player that's American? That's the disadvantage that Timo Melic has in regards to MLS. So he also is going to have to look into his choices. Now, there's the negative in MLS, but the positive is he can play in Europe because he's a German national. Because he has an European passport, he can easily play somewhere in Europe. And so there's the positive for him right there. And I guess this is just like a personal situation kind of thing, but
Well,
that it
look at it. Let's look at it this way. Okay, say Matt Jordan doesn't want to pay Seattle Sounders any money for him, so he just lets him go for free. Timo Milic easily ends up at Tacoma Defiance, easily,
mhm.
easily. So you can also take a look at it from that perspective.
It also goes into kind of like a situation of what do you prefer? Do you prefer the second division in the Bundesliga, or do you prefer a second division in the USL? And like I said, it's all personal opinion, but he has choices because of his nationality.
Yeah, he really does.
So and so he has that opportunity to think about that. Um, but I think this whole topic of renew or not renew, I think we can focus it once off season starts.
Yeah, definitely.
But it's kind of like a quick little preview of what's to come. But because we have OKC to look forward to on Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
Now OKC is coming to this match already eliminated. Yesterday they lost 3-2 in the Black and Gold Derby. They lost 3-2 to Tulsa. They were winning 2-1, and then Tulsa just kind of rallied
Yeah.
and got the win. OKC got into a situation in which a couple of players started, harassing fans that were in Tulsa. Well, the fans were harassing OKC players, and they kind of returned the favor to them. With the middle finger. I know one of the players actually ran up into the stands to confront Tulsa fans.
Man, talk about USL taking the many L's, folks.
Oh yes. They took so many L's. Um,
Let's lead
but
it off. Let's lead it off with. Ah, I can't believe I'm going to say this. Rio Grande Valley native Omar Ontiveros of Los Dos.
are you surprised though? Are you surprised that
I am
Omar?
a little. I am a little, to be honest with you.
That was from last Saturday, correct?
Yes,
Oh my goodness, he's the one that started it off for Landon Donovan. Oh
yes.
my. Okay. That's even worse. Yeah, no, I got some hot takes. Continue, Ray.
You know, once I saw his name affiliated with it, I'm like, oh no. Like, there goes his career in
Oh yeah.
any
And
USL
It's
team.
done. It's
I
done.
mean, someone has to take like a low risk flight on him. He's gonna have to take
see,
like
you say that, but but
the six
there's
game
a
suspension.
no,
That
no, no, no. I was no, 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 no.
the
You say that, but then you've got Fabian Bastidas. Was it him from Tulsa? Had a similar situation. He ends up signing back with Tulsa again, either anyway, for this season. So that could be it could still happen. I wish it wouldn't. I hope it doesn't happen, because I think he burned. I think he burned himself in the eyes of many USL fans, and I think U.S. soccer fans in general, because Landon Donovan has the platform to make
Oh
this
yeah.
newsworthy. That's the
Uh,
thing. It's newsworthy because Landon Donovan has the platform and the news to bring attention to this. If this was any, I'm not minimizing, just to make it clear, I'm not minimizing what's happening, but I think that Landon Donovan's platform and how famous he is within U.S. soccer has allowed these situations. What happened against LA Galaxy 2, what happened yesterday against Phoenix Rising, it allowed media outlets that would never pay attention to USL Championship make the focus and make it newsworthy, which I'm glad that it got the attention that this deserves, because this should not happen inside the pitch. And I don't care what Rick Shantz says that, oh, it happens in soccer. Well, it shouldn't happen. To be honest, we should not have to go through. A player should not have to go through with it at all. It's one thing to say, oh, you suck, or you're not going to score on me, then go into personal insults, because that's what it is, personal insults.
yeah.
Let's not forget, Rising Phoenix's head coach. It's not the first time that he's in the center of a controversy, folks. Let's put that into let's put that into the spotlight as well. Rising Phoenix's coach, he is not a stranger to that spotlight himself. He's been marred with a few incidents in the past before. So
I know it's funny. It's funny because he's like, how many, like, he told Landon Donovan, like, how long have you been in soccer? Like, dude, you're speaking to the. I know you don't like this, Jacob. I know you don't like what I'm gonna say.
Hey, guess
but
what? I have earned so much respect for Landon Donovan in the past couple of or in the past like 12 hours. It's unreal, considering how much I didn't like him after he, totally traded sides. Let's be honest here. Funny.
But you're talking to U.S. soccer legend Landon Donovan in the face, the disrespect just to save his ass.
Yeah.
But
You know
Jacob
his tweet though, right? You know the head coach's tweet after he said, right?
I don't remember exactly what he tweeted, but I know he tried to backpedal and kind of excuse himself.
Here, I think my question was, oh yeah, Coach Landon Donovan, how long he has been part of soccer. My question was in reference to Donovan's behavior on the field with the referee, and in no way was I excusing any alleged homophobic behavior from my players. Yeah, okay. I mean, yeah, that's the definition of backtracking.
Mm-hmm. And I love what Jorge Pedraza says. He says, I've played rec soccer for over 10 years. Never has it ever been that bad where you need to say something racial or homophobic. It shouldn't. But there are some people that kind of take it that way. And it sucks that professionals who the last couple of months or weeks have been vocal about Black Lives Matter, have been vocal about gay rights, when they think that the cameras aren't looking or we think nobody's going to say anything, they feel like they can just say these racist or homophobic stuff at fellow soccer players. It's not right. And I'm glad that Landon Donovan and San Diego Loyal are taking matters into their own hands where it hurts them the most. While it may hurt their playoff chances, but at least they're doing what is right. And because this is affecting USL directly. Their reputation is being tarnished. And so they are San Diego Loyal are forcing USL's hand to do something about it. And we're seeing them. And we're seeing this recently. Because I feel now they're doing some investigation over this particular situation. Like, from, not third party, but they themselves as a league, they're looking into the situation and see what exactly happened. And I think well done by San Diego Loyal, well done by Landon Donovan, and well done by their players. Because this is more than just 3 points or 1 point or a loss. This is the livelihood of those that are public figures, and especially those who are not public figures, those who are silently suffering through this homophobia, through this racism, and they don't have a platform to voice their concerns or continuously be attempted to be shut down.
And let's not forget that San Diego Loyal, they do have an openly gay player on their roster.
And that's who that homophobic slur was directed at.
Yeah, Colin Martin.
Mm-hmm.
That's who brought it up after he was carded, after he was, I believe, sent off.
So apparently the situation was the referee sent him off because he heard the word gay and he thought that the player was meant to direct it at him. That's what I heard from that video. I don't know if you've seen the video where where Landon and
I've seen it. It's tough to understand it somewhat.
Yeah, but apparently the thing is that the referee was saying is that he red carded Martin because he heard that the slur being used, but he thought it was directed at him as a referee, and that's why he got red carded. But the situation was that Martin was was talking about, look, that player, Junior Flemings, called used that homophobic slur against me, and no, I don't care what Junior Fleming says or how much he tries to downplay it, but the term that was actually used, because the referee said, I know that the player said something, but I didn't recognize what it was. And other people around there, even one of the players, so you see the video, he says what the term is. In Jamaican slang, that constitutes an effeminate or a homosexual person, but in a derogatory way. Mm-hmm. And Landon tells Rick Shantz, like, do you know what that means? This means that. Don't tell me that you don't know what it is or that you're ignorant about it. There's no excuse for that. And at the end of the day, Phoenix Rising, even though just last weekend they're like, oh, we support, exactly. anti-racism, we condone racism, we condone homophobia, but they're protecting their player for saying a homophobic slur at their opponent. Mm-hmm. And of course, they as a team, they all took the decision, you know what? If they're not going to take matters into their hands, we are forfeiting. Mm-hmm. It's a very bold statement.
Oh, most definitely, considering that's the end of their playoff chances, their playoff hopes. And it even goes back to what Landon Donovan said after the game. It's a whole thing. He even brought up with, of course, that after halftime, whatever the minute happened with the Omar Ontiveros incident at LA, they were going to come out and hold up a sign together. Both teams were
Yeah.
that said exactly that. No room for racism or whatever. I forget what it was exactly, but it was supposed to be a stand up at that same minute. And well, obviously it didn't get to that point because of the incident. So it's a whole thing of now the coach is going to be that way when they were supposed to do something. I guess it was just the players, and the coach doesn't necessarily believe in it. That's how it kind of is, and that's how it will be portrayed somewhat with media, considering the circumstances of how he's also trying to downplay this stuff. I know it's
And one of the owners of Phoenix Rising, he DM'd somebody, um, where he was trying to explain what was happening and saying, "Look, this is like, why are you assuming that this actually happened?" Basically, to a point that's saying that this was a conspiracy created by Martin in order to not play and forfeit, and that it was making his player and his team look bad in the eyes because he felt that this was becoming a witch hunt against them without all of the facts.
oh my gosh, oh no,
Yeah,
oh no.
yeah. So it is that bad with Phoenix Rising.
Yeah, they're gonna be so, well, of course, yeah, they're gonna be what it's called canceled because of cancel
Well,
culture.
see, but here's the good thing though. So the Bandidos, the supporter groups for Phoenix Rising, they released a statement and said, "We are not going to show ourselves at the games until you guys fix the situation. If you guys
That's good.
acknowledge the situation and get rid of Flemings, get rid of the coach." And they took that stand publicly. We are not going to your games because we're supporting you, but you're not supporting your openly LGBT or African American fans that are out there, but more specifically the LGBT community. So very bold stand from the Bandidos that I think they've earned some respect in that regard, where they're pushing their team to be accountable. And I think more supporters groups need to take that stand of making their teams be accountable for their actions. Because I know there are some within the USL looking at you, Reno, Reno, um, where they had this whole situation where the main SG was being racist towards their more Latino-based supporters group for Reno, to the point where that supporters group told Reno to go F themselves, and they are now officially a Sacramento Republic SG. But because their team did nothing to remedy the situation
Yeah,
of racism from the Battleborn Brigade.
yeah, yeah. I mean, that's one. Yeah, I mean, that's just one thing that's going to have to be changed as well. And yeah, Reno needs to do something about that as well, just to tell them. Because my biggest thought now with all of this coming into play, I know this goes above the USL now, but and I think you know what I'm going to say, both Ray and Edson, is international soccer. When it gets even bigger, when it goes to international teams from USL, or I mean USA to, all of CONCACAF
Mm-hmm.
and all the way up to
especially when they
uh,
travel to Mexico City and play.
AFC, yeah, stuff like that. The Asian Federation, um, just basically everywhere. Is what I'm trying to get at, because it's not just bad in CONCACAF; it's also bad in other places. Most definitely, even in Europe, especially where you've seen, bananas being thrown at players and things like that. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
that was club, but that's also happening in international play. What I'm trying to get at is, what do the Mexico fans say? This is just one thing that's very common that we've always heard, that even 5 years ago to now, they've tried to both the Mexico Federation and, of course, even CONCACAF and FIFA have tried to come out and say, look, your fans, you got to stop that. We're going to have to make bigger problems. And y'all know the word. I'm not even going to remotely say it. It's a gay slur.
Mm-hmm.
That's one thing that just really has to, I know it sounds as basic as it can be, stop. But yeah, that's stuff like that has no point in this sport, has no room in this sport. It just is bad. It sounds terrible. And yeah, in that long run, because guess what? Also, international matches are going to start up soon. I think Mexico played not long ago. So
Yesterday as well.
yeah, did they have fans? That's a different story. But you know, when we know that if this pandemic gets controlled enough to where if they start to let 50%, and then other places will let 25% in, they start to open up the borders a little bit more and things like that. And things, basically what I'm saying is things get regular, especially in the sporting world. When fans come in, how is this still going to be a thing? Are we still going to be hammering down this saying of no racism?
But the issue here that this isn't about fans. This is about
Yeah.
the individual
This is
players.
about players, exactly.
It's gotten this bad that the players are doing this. And I think in other times when fans are present, it kind of gets drowned down by the crowd noise. But now it's very prevalent at this time that there are some people that continue to use those kind of slurs against their fellow athletes, and it's sad. But hopefully this guides us to the right direction. But let's get back into RGV to close this show down. So this Saturday, as I mentioned, RGV will be playing OKC Energy. As I mentioned, OKC Energy are coming from a 3-2 loss against FC Tulsa. What are your expectations, Rafe, for this match?
For two teams that have absolutely nothing but their jobs to play for the following season, I kind of expect this game to be a little bit more open. Toros are going to be coming in off their first victory of the season. OKC is going to be reeling, having that they lost the Derby, and now that they're like under the microscope a little bit because of the players interacting with the fans in a negative way. So there's going to be that to look for. It's going to be the second game where fans are going to be allowed back at HEB Park. I just, I kind of expect for the Toros to be highly motivated to put it in a bigger sense. Even though it's going to be a short turnaround, but it's something that the team needs to prepare for Saturday night, and I hope that they do. They come out firing on all cylinders, knowing that they saw what they did to Austin would be a propeller for some of these guys who are in between either staying or going. It's just something that needs to happen.
It's their last shot at trying to prove to the Dynamo that they want to stay.
Yeah,
they have a lot of proof for. Looking at these stats for the Tulsa and OKC Energy match, here's a couple of stats that are kind of surprising. Possession for OKC was 35%. Passing accuracy for OKC 63%. Definitely not good. 14 shots, 7 on them on target. Okay, so that's at least a 50%. They were a little bit more accurate in that aspect compared to Tulsa. However, you look at this and you see, well, Tulsa was limited to 4 shots on target, but they got 3 on the back of the net, which is surprising for Cody Lorendi, You know, here's another surprise, at least from this match. No Charlie Ward whatsoever. Not even on the bench.
You know, you brought him up, Charlie Ward. I know he stated on Twitter or on Facebook the other day that he is hurt. I kind of hope to see him, but I don't think we will.
Mm-hmm.
So, but
But Brad Dunwell, that's who was there in the starting position.
yeah, Brad doing well. If I'm not mistaken, he was a Dynamo draft pick and
He was only was here for a
one and
year,
done.
and yeah, a one and done. Um, but yeah, given this situation, how optimistic are you guys for Saturday,
7 out of 10.
Jacob?
I'd say just a little bit lower considering the past that we've had with Tulsa. Yes, we've had some good, and we've also had some
It's
bad
against
with them.
OKC, not Tulsa.
Or yeah, yeah, OKC. My bad. Still, even more. Yeah, that's why it's yeah. Given the history, big time. It's been one of those back and forth where a lot of times, especially RGB, that I could remember have had the lead even in the past seasons against them, and have fallen or just have ended up drawing. So if I had to guess, we'll probably see ourselves a draw. Not going to be the second win, but I mean that's something. We're still going to see fight. Both teams have jobs to play for, so it's that big thing. And hopefully, of course, RGVFC can do what I said. But if I had to guess, 2-2 final score.
Ray?
Um, is that your normal prediction, Jacob? 2-2
Oh,
final
very
score?
normal, yeah.
That very normal. I think I know what I'll hear for ultra bold prediction. Normal scoreline. 2-1. We walk away with a victory,
Hmm.
and you know, and and I say that there's going to be an early goal for the Toros. Um, OKC will eventually like level it, and then we'll be hanging on for dear life. We'll score like in the like midway second half, but then hang on for dear life where we might see Kyle Ian make a great save uh, towards the end to kind of like ice the game a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Normal prediction.
I think my prediction is going to be either a 0-0 draw or a slight 1-0 lead by RGV, but I go more for the 0-0 draw. Bold prediction for me, we see another 2-0 win over OKC Energy, and my both goals are going to be scored by Kyle Edwards. That's my bold prediction.
Jacob, go with your bold prediction.
All right, bold prediction for me going to be an interesting thing. It's going to be 1-0 RGVFC. They score just a screamer in the 90th minute, 90 plus to be exact, after a crazy time of a couple of yellow cards around there. Yes, why will they score a goal? It will be a penalty on an opportunity for RDVFC. I don't get specific, but it will be, of course, a red card to the OKC player who made that happen. So, yeah, that's my bold prediction.
Bold prediction, we're going to have a very open game. It's going to be a goal scoring fest. I say we end up uh, drawing at 3 goals apiece,
Oof.
and we score twice into stoppage time.
So it come from behind.
To come from
Dang.
behind draw to send out OKC on a sour note. That's my bold prediction, is that we come from behind and get a point.
Well, we'll see we'll see what happens on Saturday, for this match. But final thoughts before we close down this show. Whoever wants to take it.
Final thoughts. The game last night. The game last night against Austin. It was quite a relief to hear fans out there. Heard a few Venezuelas. Saw the auctioning of the Bears still being put on the east side of the stadium. That's still cool that they have some of those Bears available for purchase. And all going for a good cause. But I mean, it was good to see a competitive team to show a little bit more passion and a little bit more courageous out there, despite all the circumstances going on. 25 days without having a formal game, and almost 4 practices leading up to the Austin game, and it was a good sight to see.
Mm-hmm. Jacob?
Yeah, final thought from me. Yeah, no, a fantastic performance from RGVFC, something that I'm glad that we saw once again, just like Ray said. And yeah, very cool to see at least some fans in the stands. And let me tell you something. What a safe way to open it back up to fans. Section by section, row by row, kind of. Everybody was very orderly. They waited in their seats until their row was called. And I saw throughout the game the ushers constantly cleaning the rails too. It felt safe. It felt very safe, like this should actually be a regular thing when we get back to it, where just ushers are, just cleaning everything. So yeah, very impressive. If you have free time this Saturday, definitely come down. RGVFC players love to see the fans out there, and just support your team. Definitely very safe, and I don't see anybody coming back with getting COVID unless, of course, somebody spread it there. But point being, very safe. It was very impressive. It reminded me of when I went to College Station not long ago.
I think for me, my final thought would be, definitely, I think this team has shown that what it could be made of. Wish it was done a whole lot sooner. But I think this team, I think the fans of this team, and I'm not talking about the more passionate members, the Stampede, or those that are very vocal, or that are consistently going into games. I think the fact that the people that showed that have been through with this team through and through, I think they have shown what they're committed to the team. I'm talking more about those people that are super extremely negative. I think while we can we can't criticize. I think we still need to show that we support this team, this organization. While we know there are some things that can be improved on the pitch, at the end of the day, this is the Valley's team, and we can't just mock this team because it just looks bad on you, right? Because not how long has the Valley been without a team, right? Now I'm not expecting fans to let everything go or accept everything that happens. Obviously, we have to say when we things when we don't agree with some things. Do you want more Valley people playing in the games, or on the roster? That's why we have open tryouts. If you're saying, "Oh, I'm better than this team," blah blah blah, prove it in open tryouts. That's what they're there for. Prove to the Dynamo that the Valley is a hotbed for soccer talent, because it is. At least at the high school level, we are a powerhouse in Texas. But it's time to prove it at a professional level, and these players or these people that say, well, I'm better than this guy, blah, 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 put me in and I'll make y'all win. Well, prove it. Don't just post it. Don't just be sitting on your couch and put that stuff in. Prove it. Prove it for the Valley. You love the Valley so much. You want this team to be good. Prove it. Put your money where your mouth is at this point.
I'll just add a little sidebar comment to that. A lot of people may complain about the fee, but let me just put it out there. The only reason why they may charge a fee is because insurance ain't free, folks. Everything has gone up, and I've worked in the parks and rec industry. I've worked in the minor league sports industry, and I've worked in the professional sports industry. Insurance ain't cheap, folks. It ain't cheap. Something happens to you, guess what? You paid the fee. You signed the waivers and the documents. In case something happens to you, guess what? You'll get help. It's that simple, folks. That's why a lot of these teams in the USL charge a tryout fee, because insurance ain't cheap.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And I'm pretty sure if you really want to do it, I'm pretty sure it's going to be people that'll help you get the money so you can pay that tryout fee. Just got to ask out there. If you really want it, you'll find a way. And there's people in the Valley that'll be more than happy to help you achieve your dream of representing the RGV with the Toros and play professionally. That's what this is what we want. We want a team that represents the Valley. But we, as people from the Rio Grande Valley, including me, even though I don't live in the Rio Grande Valley, but I'm from the Rio Grande Valley, this team represents my hometown, my home region. And if I didn't like something from the Toros, well, you know what? I'm doing something. We are all doing something. Jacob's doing something about it. I'm doing something about it. Ray's doing something about it. What was our biggest concern? Coverage. You know what? Instead of just sitting back and complaining, we took it upon ourselves to do that and bring coverage to the Toros. We've voiced our concerns about this team. Well, you know what? Instead of just sitting here and pouting, we found a way to be able to get our voices and the fans' voices of concern towards the front office. And what's happening? We're seeing some improvements. So don't tell me that this will never work if participation doesn't work. It works, right? But we need to do something. We do need to take it upon ourselves. It's easy for me to just start bashing, something about this team or anything like that. It's easy to do that, but it takes guts and it's for somebody to actually be active and influence the change that we want. So that is my challenge to all of those naysayers of this team. You say you are the key to make the Toros a championship team. Prove it. Don't just post it on Facebook and expect for somebody to forget it. Prove it to yourself. Prove it to everybody else that you've got what it takes to be a professional. Because if you say that you are the key, but you're a guy like me who doesn't really do a lot of exercise, then what's the point? You're just speaking from your mouth out. Everybody has a little bit something to help this. You may not be athletic, but hey, you know what? I'm good with public speaking, or I'm good with marketing, or anything like that. Well, if there's a job opening from the Toros, take that opportunity. Be the change from within, or be the change that to find a way to influence this team to be better. We found a way, thankfully, but it's your turn as well. We can't do everything ourselves. We need the help from the fans of the Rio Grande Valley, and for starters, we need to bark up the right tree on our grievances, or at least find the smart way to be able to make the change. We want the change on the technical side. We need to focus our energy on the Houston Dynamo. Get them to change their ways for the sake of our team. Because the way that Matt Jordan and the Houston Dynamo have handled this team, they don't care about the fans because they think that us as fans, we don't care about this team, that we're not there to support. They can do whatever they want. Who watches them anyway? Who is passionate enough of this team to keep us accountable? The media doesn't keep us accountable. The fans don't keep us accountable. They're 6 hour. The media here in Houston isn't going to keep them accountable. Well, we can do whatever the hell we want with this team. Nobody's gonna say anything about it. Well, they're wrong. But we need the support from the fans to get their anger directed at them and prove that this isn't just an MLS2 team. This is a team with its own identity and with its own set of fans and of a region that they are representing. This is not just a Houston Dynamo 2. This is Rio Grande Valley Football Club. And it needs to be treated like that. And I think, and it's up to us as fans, alongside the RGV front office, to prove to Matt Jordan and the Houston Dynamo that we are not pushovers. And that is my final thought. Thank you guys for tuning in. Hope to see you all next week. Hope for a win on Saturday. And don't forget to follow us on Twitter at DonnaJRGV, as well as on Instagram and on Facebook. Find our podcast at Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio, Spotify, and Anchor.fm. Thank you guys for everything. We'll see you all next week. Take care.